In a second. Hey, how
Hello,
are you?
hello. Very good. And
Good.
yourself?
Thank you very much. I have a last minute issues to connect to Instagram, but it's not so late anyway. Thank
It's
you.
fine.
All right. So everybody, welcome to this live. We will see if anybody, people will connect throughout this session. I would like to start with obviously thanking you, Caroline, for joining today. Caroline and I we have a long way back. We've known each other for a few years now.
We
And
do.
I'm really happy to not only to see you again, we recently reconnected, and there are many stories, many things that we would like to share with you, and especially I would like to present Caroline with her expertise as in emotional intelligence, right?
Mhm.
So first of all, why don't we start with that? Because I think being that I started the life, so people already know me. So I would like to start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background, what you do today. What's your
Sure,
story?
sure. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited about this conversation about emotional intelligence because it's such an important topic, not only for career success, but also to live a fulfilling life. So my name is Caroline Thay. I am an NLP Master practitioner, trainer, and EQ coach. And I help entrepreneurs and professionals master their mindset and emotions and develop resilience so that they can achieve their professional goals. And I work with people that come to me, they come to me because they are experiencing a challenging life circumstance such as a divorce, and their overwhelming emotions get in the way of their performance. Or another group of people that come to me, they want to perform at their best because they have an interview to prepare or presentation. So they come to me for mental preparation so that they can develop unshakable confidence and be at their best for this event.
Okay. Well, thank you. Now, Caroline, we met a long time ago, as I was saying before. Um, Caroline was I would say, one of my mentors in NLP at the very beginning when I was starting as a coach. And we met, well, we were both in Paris back then, and you were running, I remember perfectly, your workshops and your trainings, NLP training. And it's funny, when we met, you had a story of how you remember how it was when we met. You want to tell the story?
Yes, that's right. You made quite an impression, my first impression of you. So let me spill the beans. So we met back in, I believe, 2015 or 2016.
Yeah,
So it's been a while that we
yeah.
know each other. Back then, I just moved to a new office in Paris, and I was doing meetups to organize my NLP workshops. And you came to one of them. And I remember when you arrived, you told me that you were waiting downstairs because you forgot the code for the door. And you were so relaxed about it because you knew somebody would come and you would be able to gain entry. So everything was fine. And I remember telling myself, wow, she has such a great mindset. Like, she doesn't sweat the small stuff, like nothing gets to her. And so it was so inspiring because how many times in our life, even in our days, how many times do we get anxious, stressed out about little things that don't even deserve our attention and energy? And here you are, like, everything is fine. And I was telling myself, she is going to go far with this kind of mindset.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was exactly the case. I was just waiting, and something just told me. It was like this voice that said, you know what, everything is going to be fine. People come in and out anytime, or I will just simply find a way. And this is actually something that I use in my everyday life. It's sort of like a mantra that I repeat to myself every day. Is I always say to myself that I will always have the resources I need for everything, whether it is to create something new, or to have a new business, or to get some connections with new clients, or anything. For anything that I need, I always have the resources. And it's actually what I applied that day when we met. And yeah, it's funny when you told me that story. It's actually how emotions also work, right?
That's correct.
And I wanted to ask you, Caroline, how do you it's not that you move, but how do you connect NLP with emotional intelligence, and what made you decide to actually specialize on emotional intelligence after all your story and after putting everything together?
So to me, NLP gives you the tools to develop your emotional intelligence, because you know, an emotional intelligence tells you what to develop, but how do you develop? And NLP gives you those tools to develop your emotional intelligence. And I decided to specialize in emotional intelligence because I recognized very early on in my career how important emotional intelligence is for your career success, even more important than your technical skills. I remember after my master's degree, I was looking for a job, and it was a difficult experience in the sense that I applied to a lot of jobs. I was getting some interviews, but for some reason, I couldn't get through the interview stage and get an offer. And it was frustrating. And I was wondering, why was it that I couldn't land a job? And I started to research, try to understand what is it that I was doing wrong. So obviously I had the technical skills and I have the degree. So on paper, I had the right things, which is why I was able to get interviews, but I couldn't get past the interview stage to get an offer because of the way that I was carrying myself and presenting myself. And I realized in hindsight that I had so many doubts about myself that I was projecting that during the interview. And how could I expect someone to trust me and make me an offer if I myself doubted myself?
Of course.
So that is the reason why I decided to specialize in emotional intelligence, because I know emotional intelligence, at least in my case, in the beginning, my lack of emotional intelligence overshadowed my technical skills.
Okay, okay. In the corporate world, there are many, many things that happen. It's like sometimes, especially in big groups, but not only, right? But especially in big groups, we can experience things like mergers and acquisition, which creates a very, very heavy environment of where people don't either find themselves anymore in the company. They are no longer in alignment with how the company is doing things, or sometimes it's this uncertainty of, am I going to lose my job? Are they going to keep me? How is my role going to change? And already talking about it makes me anxious, right? Just thinking about it is really is heavy things to live. And I happen to accompany many people in these situations. And I would like to ask you, with your expertise in emotional intelligence, what are the best tools that somebody in a change like this, or who's going through a process like this, what are the main tools they could use?
So the first step for change is awareness, because once you have awareness, you're empowered to change. When you don't have awareness, you're just reacting, you're on autopilot. With awareness, you interrupt the pattern, and that's when you are able to make changes. Once you gain awareness, the second step is to transform your experience. So when we go through those high pressured situations, those high stress situations, we have an internal representation, which is an NLP lingo for how we represent this situation. And there are three ways we can change this experience, how we represent the situations. The first way is through changing the internal representation. That is the way that our brain perceives the situation. In other terms, our thoughts about the situation. The second way you can change it is through changing the way that your brain constructs the emotions. And the third way you can change the situation, your experience of the situation, is through your physiology. So something very quick that you can do, like in just a matter of minutes, is through changing your physiology. Like if we can do an exercise really quick right now. If you remember, if you bring up a situation where you felt stress, you see what you saw, hear what you saw, and feel what you felt, you will feel that your body instinctively will recreate that experience. So maybe you have tense jaw, maybe your shoulders will slouch, your head back. Your body will recreate that experience
Exactly.
as if it was happening right now. So a very quick way to change your experience through physiology is to change your physiology, in the sense that if you have your head down, put your head back up. If you have slouching shoulders, bring your shoulders back up. And if you're breathing, if you have shallow breathing, you can do deep breathing. And just changing your physiology, you will see that it will change your experience of the situation. So that is the first way to quickly change your experience of this high pressure situation.
Excellent. So this is something that you would apply. It's like quick technique to apply in the present time, while the person can think of how they can either reconnect with themselves during this change. Because something that I work a lot in coaching is this reconnection with their own values, with their own authenticity. But it's true that there is something that needs to come first, which is that control of the emotion, because the emotion sort of, if it's not well handled, it blocks the entire process of reconnecting or analyzing the whole situation. So to recap, try to work on the physiology, change the physiology, make a very deep breathing, and changing the physiology to get back to a good emotion, a good mindset, a good state to actually
state. Yes, because you cannot make changes while you are in a loud state. You need to change your state first so that you feel empowered.
Exactly.
And changing your physiology is a quick way to change your state. And you can also listen to empowering music. And you'll see that it's impossible to feel bad when you listen to a music that you like, that brings good feelings, good memories.
Yeah. It's something, John Grinder, one of the co-creators of NLP, he says that the problem is not the problem is the state in which we see a problem. And this comes together. It's not only the emotional state, it's the mental state, it's the physical state, it's how we are available for something, and the way we are available for something that actually is going to help us see the situation differently. And thank you for that comment, because it really puts everything together. Now, Caroline, one thing, and try to keep the story or the example within the professional frame for some of our viewers. Have you ever had an experience, or what has been, if you remember, an experience in your life in which you feel proud because you overcame the situation and you were in control of any emotional intelligence technique? Can you share any story with us in that sense?
Sure. In my career, one thing that was frustrating in my previous life in the corporate world was the fact that I was underpaid. And I saw people that were working, that were not as hardworking as me, and some that are even less skilled than me, getting paid more than me. And it was unfair, it was frustrating. And I was determined to turn this situation around. So I started, I tried to understand why is it that they were able to get paid more than me, and what did I do that created this situation of being underpaid. And I understood that so our mindset and the way we present ourselves, our social skills, our networking skills contribute a lot to our career success, and the value that and our perceived value. And those people, they were able to get paid more because their perceived value was higher than mine. And I work extensively on my mindset. I work on my emotion, and I develop certain networking strategies that were able, that helped me, first of all, create the job that I want. And those are the examples I'm going to give you, are the ones that I'm really proud of, because I started my career being the lowest paid employee, and after 7 years, I more than 4x my salary, and I became one of the highest paid in my company. And it came because I was able to increase my perceived value through, like, for example, one thing that I did was being very clear about what I wanted. So at that time, I was working in the tax department, and I wanted to move to the international division. And I was told that there was no opening and that there was no junior opening, no junior position at my level in that department. But I didn't let that deter me. I knew what I wanted, and then I knew, like, I had in my mind a very clear picture of what it is that I wanted to materialize. And I contacted the people in the department, not only the international finance department, but also other departments that interacted with finance, so that I could meet with them, introduce myself, and show them my interest in their work. And they were very happy to tell me what it is that they were doing. So through this interaction, I was able to understand their jobs. I was able to understand what were the challenges, and I was able to see in what capacity I could help, how I could add value to the department. And then the other thing that I did was, again, through networking, I was able to, so one of the initiatives that my company was doing at the time was to promote equal opportunity development and equal opportunities for minority groups. And they were promoting development opportunities. And I volunteered to be involved in this initiative, because I know, since this is a company-wide initiative, that they will receive the support. And I knew through this initiative that I would gain visibility, that the right people will know me. And sure enough, after several months of getting involved, but you have to, like, be really involved in it and be sincere in what you wanting to create. Like, you cannot go in and just, like, with your self-interest. You have to really show that you're committed to what you're doing and creating something that is, like, beyond yourself. And I was able to meet with the president of the company and have a chat with him. And he actually has heard my name from other people.
Okay.
And he, after I shared with him my interest in moving to the international finance division, he sent an email to the CFO. And by the time the CFO received his email introducing me, she has already heard my name from other people, from her team, and also other people in the division. So she knew me without having met me yet.
Okay, just by reputation.
Yes.
Good.
So by doing that, I increased my value, my perceived value. And by the time I met with her, she has already decided that she wanted me in her team, because I showed my commitment, my motivation, and I showed how I was able to add value. And she created a job just for me. And by doing that, I eliminated all competition. Like, I didn't have to fight with thousands and thousands of other applicants for this job. And I remember my proudest moment was when I met with HR, who has told me that there was no way I could get a job in the international division. And I met with him, and he laughed because he recognized me, and he recognized what he said, and he remembered what he said to me. And I proved to him that I was able to transform impossible into possible.
Right. Excellent. Wow,
so that is the value of developing your emotional intelligence, and particularly in this situation, the social skills, the managing my emotions, so that I could go to these meetings and show, like, not show that I was nervous or I was doubting myself, but really show that I was committed, that I was, and how enthusiastic I was about the job.
Excellent. Thank you, Caroline. So this is really inspiring, as always, as I remember you exactly, always with this energy. I would like to add something to that, because the thing is that when we talk about emotional intelligence, self-control, self-awareness. I think it's really interesting and really exciting when we share news of success. But I wanted to share something that is more of the other side, okay? Because when I think it's a different energy, or the way the energy evolves is different. When we are in the process, when we're getting something, we're succeeding at something, something is happening. It's like we're lifting up and we're building something up. But when we're going through failure, something is the opposite that happens. It's like we could easily fall down very quickly. It's like if we really have enough confidence, that confidence can break into pieces very quickly when we are in the process of going through failure. And I would like to tell a story about that. Personal story, of course. A couple of years ago, I decided to go into a franchise business, and everything seemed to be perfect. It was language school, which was very much in alignment with my background, academic background, and language school, very international. Everything seemed to be very, very in alignment, right? And I decided to go for the business. I invested my savings, or most of my savings. I would say I wasn't completely out of money, but I put a lot of money in it, and especially I put a lot of energy into that business. One of the things that happens when you're investing in businesses, whether they are franchises or whether it's your own business, is that things can go wrong, okay? And we make mistakes on the way, and that's part of making businesses and investing, right? And something that happened to me was that I think the whole franchise, the model was nice, it was okay, it was well constructed, it was well built, but the location where the school was placed was really terrible. It was a terrible location. It was a really, really bad location. So I put everything into it. Marketing strategies, marketing budget, sales budget. I activated all the resources I needed to make it work. And it was a year that I listed, and I still remember. It's like what you were saying. I remember it, and I feel the pressure already, and I'm not there anymore, right? I listed with a lot of pressure because it was not only the full investment, but it was mostly the energy. I felt it was consuming all my energies, and I couldn't find a way out of it. And I somehow, because of my life story, I thought that this business was going to be that thing that will give me my confidence back. That was the thing that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be doing this. I'm gonna be successful at this. And it was the opposite. It was the other way around. What happened in the moment is that I had to really use the tools that I have as a coach and that I have in personal development, emotional intelligence, to make me realize that this is the path of any entrepreneur. Making mistakes is part of it. Yeah. And the most important thing was to breathe in, breathe out, cool off, and see things from a different perspective. What I realized very quickly, I said, you know what? I realized that I made all the efforts that I needed to make. I put the right energies and the right strategies to make it work. I saw what was wrong, and I saw that the perspective of that business, because one thing that happened is that, especially for those of you who are listening who would like to create a business at some point, people tell you this: the business is not going to be profitable in the first year. You have to make it work, you have to make it happen. That's true. But you also have to see whether the business is going to have good perspective or not. And this is what was happening to me. I said, okay, there's no way this particular school is going to thrive in this place where it is. And I had the franchise people telling me, oh yeah, keep going, keep going. Of course, they weren't the ones losing money. So I had the pressure coming from my own conflict and their pressure. And to make the long story short, I make it to the end of the school year, and I decide to either sell the school or close the school, but I was not going to go another year with that pressure, and especially with the business that I felt that it was, well, not only that I felt it was not profitable. So I went through all the conflicts, and it's like this spiral going down. What about this business that was going to bring my confidence back? What about this business that was going to make me thrive, and etc., etc., all these conflicts, right? And I made it to the end of the process. I ended up closing the school. And what I discovered was that not only was the best decision, it made me realize that the more I was putting into it, the energies, the budget that I was putting into somebody else's brand, it was giving, I was like orienting everything to somebody else, to a different thing that was not me. It was not my authenticity. It was not my own brand, my own business. That was one thing. And the other thing, business thinking, it made me grow so much because I realized that this is the path of any entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, at the end of it, I became even more, I trust myself more. Yeah. Because it's not about the experience of failure itself, it's about what you get from it. That's right. And you were saying something about the perception that you have on your own, or about yourself, and the value that you perceive on yourself. And for me, it was within a process of spiral going down and sort of losing confidence in myself, I found myself growing into something even bigger. And that is thanks to these tools as well. Thanks to this awareness and the process of reflecting and thinking, and try to change the whole perception and saying, you know what, this is also part of it. Mm-hmm. And it's super important, actually it's essential, to be in control, be aware, and to be in control of the emotions, to also overcome this type of situation as well. So I wanted to share that example because I know some people here are also interested in businesses, and part of the corporate world, part of the professional world is a little bit of everything. So you yourself, you have your own business, so I figure you also had experiences of going up and down, right?